Hi, welcome back to Bit by Bit for another coffee break video. Today we are at Nightcap in Pilsen, and we're going to be talking about Sims, simulator games, and sort of what makes a good simulator, what we like to see in those, and just, I guess, to start off the conversation, for me, my mom, she got this Gateway computer, the kind that comes with a little cow print box, when I was...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really cute. I thought it was awesome when I was a kid, and we opened it up, and there was a Sim, it was the original Sims for the, just for the PC, that was included with the computer, and we were stoked, because we didn't know that, we could really play games on computers when I was that age. I was probably like 7 or 8. I might be a little off on that, but it's close to there, it all meshes together. For me, that was probably the game I played like the most consistently at that age. Like I was on it like every hour of the day. Like I wanted a laptop at that age just so I could play Sims in the car, because I thought that was something you could do. I know, because you're like an 8-year-old, yeah. Like, so I thought I could do, I was already trying to mobile game hardcore at that age, so I wanted to play Sims in the car, and so I wanted a laptop. I never got one, because they were really expensive back then. But anyway, for me, I always really enjoyed the Sims game because it was sort of a way to create a different life. And when you're a kid, that's really interesting, because when you're a kid, you just go to school and you sit at home all day, but on Sims, you can have a job, you can have a boyfriend, you can have kids, you could, get a pet if you got the expansion. Like, it was great. And so that's kind of where I started off. What was your first simulator, do you know?
That's a good
the first
question.
one that sort of struck with you?
First simulator, I've actually never played The Sims, ever. Like, I thought it was really dumb. Like, I know everyone liked it, but I was like...
It's pretty dumb.
I was like, oh, it's just like your regular life, but like virtual. Like, that's weird, is what I originally thought. So my first simulator was Gone Home, was actually my first simulator
Really?
game. Yes.
Oh, so late.
So which I mentioned in one of the indie beer articles that I wrote. One of the first ones I wrote was with Gone Home, and I paired it with like a drink I also don't normally drink, because it was like two things that I didn't normally experience. But yeah, I always thought simulators were kind of silly, because I'm like, well, it's just like your life, but like virtual, and like, it's like, how you take the train, you can take the train in the game. I'm like, I don't want to do that. And then I realized that's exactly what I want to do, because you don't actually have to do anything, and you get to like look at a bunch of stuff. So with Gone Home, I really liked it, because like you just got to like go through this house, and it was kind of spooky, even though it wasn't actually like a horror game or anything. But like I was freaked out by it because I was scared of everything. And yeah, it was like exciting to get to like explore the house, and like it gave me like a larger appreciation for like the mundaneness of like reality. Because it was like, oh, like you get to learn about these people through their objects, and it made me think about like, my home's just like this too, where it's like if you see this, like this came from this thing, or you see these quirky things about my family, and like how telling that is to character, like in real life and in virtual life. So like I got real tripped out by that, and then I was a big nerd for like the commentary of the game, and like all the ins and outs of like what they were doing and how they tried to make it realistic, and like the fact that they didn't put shoes in the house at all. There were no shoes in the house. And they're like, we hope no one notices. That's weird.
I guess there are.
Because they're like, if we put some shoes in that, we gotta put shoes like everywhere. Like mom's gonna have like 8 shoes, dad's gonna have like 4 shoes at least.
Huh. I
Kids
didn't
have like,
notice
yeah,
that on that,
exactly.
yeah.
So they're like, we just won't put any shoes.
Probably because I thought everyone was dead, all the stuff was gone. If you haven't played Gone Home, you should, just for the experience.
Yeah, so that was my first sim game. So I guess jumping into what I kind of already started to touch on a little bit, what would you say makes a good simulator game?
Well, I think it's kind of a difficult question, and I might sort of answer it in a way that's not answering it.
As usual?
As usual, yeah. Well, because I'm thinking about what makes a good simulator game, and I think it's actually, that discussion might actually be better. What makes a good simulator gamer? Like, what kind of person's best for certain kinds of simulators, or like who's most likely to enjoy simulators is sort of what I'm thinking about, because you're talking about Gone Home, and you're talking about the experience of going through the house and then like discovering things about these objects and sort of learning about the relationships and the character dynamics and stuff going on, and it's really exhilarating as a gamer to be able to do that. And there's a big difference between like The Sims to an extent, but because I think that if you're someone who is sort of like you're really creative, and sort of like a self-starter creative, you know what I mean? Like someone who sort of can impose that on different types of media more easily. Sims might be a good game for you, because you know, for some gamers, it might be that like The Sims is sort of like you say, like it's part of your real life. You know, it's like just like what you're doing in real life, but now you're doing it on a game, and like what are you doing sitting here? And I've definitely had that feeling where I'm like, I've been on this for 8 hours and ignoring my real life to play my fake life, and that seems a little dumb. But there's also been times where you have really like when you have a set of characters or family in The Sims where you sort of have a real sense for a character for them and like the dynamics going on in their family and their interests or their you know, the things that bug them or something that happened in their past that affects, you know, like, so if you're the kind of person who can easily build a narrative around a non-existent narrative, like you can build a narrative on a blank slate, basically, I think this is can be fun. Otherwise, I think it gets to be pretty boring. Plus, building that narrative all the time is a little exhausting. And then, as someone who writes, you start to the point where you're like, wow, why am I doing this? Like, why am I not writing instead of building this narrative on a blank slate? So I think that certain simulators are better for different kinds of gamers or people who have different interests. As I've gotten older, I've really preferred games like Gone Home because it's more guided. Like it's more of a story, right? It's less of a build your own story, more of a read this story. And even there, you have choices. You know, are you going to find all the clues in the house? Maybe not. You know, like we were talking about while we were on our walk over here. You were talking about that, like the cross you pick up in the basement and the lights go out. I didn't experience that, so it might have really adjusted how I felt about like family and like, you know, the creep factor in Gone Home. So I'm trying really hard to not always be like, well, different strokes for different people, you know. But, I think it might be the case to some extent with simulator games. For me, the big no for simulator games, ones I really don't enjoy, are things like Goat Simulator, or things that are sort of just like supposed to be stupid and funny. I hate those.
Have you played the Stanley Parable ever? We need to both play. I haven't played it either, but like that's like the classic simulator game. I might have butchered the name. I don't think I did though. I also don't like goofy simulators. Like, though in their defense, I've only played like one like stupid simulator, and that was Who's Your Daddy, where you're trying to keep the baby from killing itself. It was like fun in a way, but it wasn't like, I don't know. I wouldn't play it on my own volition. I like played it before or something, like on my channel, just for fun.
Right.
But yeah, Goat Simulator also has no appeal. I've seen it played. I haven't actually played it myself. It's just weird. It's just like a goat in the air for no reason. I don't understand the appeal of that. I think for me, I think there are different things for different people. Like, I didn't like Truck Simulator. Like, I feel like if you like Truck Simulator, you really like it. If you don't, you're just like, I mean, it's a truck simulator. It is exactly what it sells itself as. I feel like for me, they have to have like, and that's why I don't like Truck Simulator. I think it has to have some level of like artifice, or like it can't be too much like real life, or else I'm like, why am I doing like it's like Truck Simulator? Like, why am I pretending to drive this truck across the country? Like, it's not appealing to me. But like with Gone Home, and then I'm trying to think of any other Sims I've played. So I've been playing them kind of recently, and I can't remember any other ones I've played right now. But they have to have like something else going on with that. So with Gone Home, they have the creep factor, and then you're kind of trying to piece together a story. Like, your story is piecing together a story that's already there. So yeah, and like in a little bit, like you have to be able to do some things that you couldn't normally do. Like, it can't be too realistic. I think that's kind of the main things for myself.
I think kind of going along with that, and sort of clarifying my own position, I guess, the having bits that are sort of not like your own life, you know, I think kind of plays into this idea of having a different perspective in a simulator. So like for me, I've never really wanted to know what it's like to be a super goat who can fly and like kick people to death and stuff like that. Like, that's not really an experience I've ever really wanted as a person. But, you know, I am interested in having, you know, even like I said, as a kid, like it was very fun to have the experience of an adult when I was a kid, because I didn't know what it was like to be an adult, and it all seemed pretty cool when you're a kid, you know. Or if you're playing, there's even like this Sims vet game that I had when I was also pretty young. I was really into Sims, so I got all the games, and like you're like a vet, you know. Like, well, I've never been a vet, probably never going to be a vet, so this is kind of cool. So it's like something about living a life that you can't actually live in your real life.
Yeah.
Or sort of having, like, entering that space for a little while. And it's different than, like, if you talk about, like, your sort of general RPGs, which can be similar in a lot of ways, and some of them are both, I think.
Yeah.
But it's different because, like, in an RPG, in a lot of RPGs, like, if you take Dragon Age or, like, Skyward, for example, like, there's not really... I've never imagined that I could actually be someone who lives in a fantastical realm and kills bandits and, and collects coins and stuff from caves, even though it's really fun to do. The simulators have a different experience in that it's a life adjacent to my own, like it's a possible life, or it's a possible experience. It's something that someone else that I know can be experiencing.
Yeah.
And that brings it really close to home, and I think there's something important about that experience itself, specifically for Sims. And it helps you to relate to the world around you and the people around you in different ways. So I think that might be what makes a good Sim for me.
Yeah, I think the more I think about it too, and I use Gone Home because it's kind of my like target one, and it's the first Sim that I played that I like. I didn't think I could like Sims, and then I realized I love them. The details, getting all the details down is like huge and I guess it's not really to make it more realistic necessarily, in my opinion. Obviously, it does that, but there's something like the more I can interact with things, the more like excited I am about it. So like with one of my criticisms of Gone Home is like I want more stuff to interact with. Like after a while, picking up the Kleenex boxes.
Like there's nothing.
I kind of already picked up all the Kleenex boxes in the house or whatever. But like, being able to turn the faucets on for the toilets and like the fact that there's which is one thing they mentioned in the commentary, and all the lamps have cords.
Yeah.
When they were making it, that's one thing one of the developers wanted, because they're like, I hate in games when there's a lamp and there's no cord. It's like, how is this lamp on? It's not on. So yeah, like all the little details of that, and like the handwritten things on the VHS plate. Like I don't know, there's something.
Oh yeah, that was.
There's something really like soothing about that. I'm not really sure it is. I guess it's the same reason that like one of the most popular exhibits in the Art Institute of Chicago is the miniature room, where it's just like all these little tiny houses, and they have like all these little pieces of furniture, and they're very ornate. So I guess there's something satisfying about the details. Like in simulator games that, to me, like a good one needs to have a lot of them. Yeah, and I'm not sure why that is. I think as a gamer, personally, I don't know how universal this is. There's something nice about like being able to just interact with it a little bit more than you've been able to do before, which I guess like in a regular game, you're not necessarily interacting with the environment. You're more going through it and doing things. Like you're doing things in the environment, but you're not like playing with the environment a whole lot. Like obviously in Zelda you can smash the pots and cut the grass and stuff, and that's you're playing with the environment. But typically the game is centered on like objectives. And I think what's nice about simulator games is that like you just get to experience like the world itself, rather than like experience the journey that you're set on through this world.
Right. Yeah, I think there's something about simulators that's sort of the self-contained, in that the setting is the event. Or that the character is the event, and not some like far-fetched goal. But that being said, I do like having some level of goals in a simulator game. So I still want something to do. Like I think for me, when Sims starts to get boring for me, like The Sims, is when I sort of lose track of what I want from my characters. So I can really enjoy The Sims for a long time if I'm like, okay, well, I really want this character to like practice this sort of hobby that they're growing up, and then end up being like a business tycoon and saving this much money and having 3 kids with the girl next door, and these goals, these plans. But as soon as I don't have plans, or as soon as I don't really know what I'm reaching for in a simulator, I think I get a little bored. But like for Gone Home, the goal. And I think that's something that's really well for Gone Home, is that I'm very driven to find out what's going on in Gone Home, because, you get home from Europe, and your family's not there, the lights are all weird, you've never lived in this house because they moved while you were gone, and, there's a lot of motivation to, figure out what happened. So it's, this constant drive to just, solve a mystery, almost.
Yeah.
And again, for Goat Simulator, I don't really understand the goal of, Goat Simulator. I think the goal is just to, goof off. And I don't personally like those. Yeah, so I think even though so much of it is based in the setting and in the characters and everything within itself, I think I also want to have something that I'm striving for as a player, in order to make the simulator worthwhile for me or interesting for me.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. And on that note, I think people that are new to simulators, which I was new to simulators when I played Gone Home, and don't know why I can't remember any other ones that I've played. I haven't played a whole lot of Sims in general.
You played
though.
the One Night Stand one.
Oh yeah, that one was great. The One Night Stand Simulator, yeah.
Sorry,
Which that game was like you pick different options, and you kind of have a goal in that one too. Like your goal is to like, so you have this one night stand, and then you're just trying to figure out what to do next, like socially, which is, I don't know, whatever. Like, and so like my goal playing that was to like have like some type of like quote unquote like happy ending, no pun intended. So like where like, oh, maybe we like me and this girl, because we're like presumably a male in the game, and then like, oh, maybe we like end up dating, or like we're cool, or we're friends, or something, or just anything. But I usually messed it up pretty quickly early on. I made some bad decisions, but yeah, that game was fun because there was like a bunch of different outcomes. So I guess I need some type of traditional, quote unquote traditional gaming experience. I think most of those first games were either arcade or like, action adventure. That's like a common kind of starting point. So I think like something that reminds me of that is a nice transition. So whether that's having like a goal with dialogue, or a goal with like finding out a piece of the story, like something that can remind me of traditional games. That way I feel like I'm not just playing like a simulation of real life, I'm experiencing a game, and it's just like a game in a different context than I'm used to, and that's really refreshing for me as a gamer. And yeah, and that's why I play Sims, and why I definitely would recommend everyone check it out, because I think the genre has so much to offer. I mean, even sports games, those are Sims,
right?
So yeah, I think there's a lot out there to be experienced in a way that other genres can offer.
Awesome. Well, on that note, go ahead and make sure to give a thumbs up to this video and follow our channel bit by bit for more videos in the future. Thanks for watching.